Nicolas Cage gives an understated performance? What? That can't be right. Now and again, the stars align and Nick Cage gives a legitimately great performance. Pig is the directorial debut of Michael Sarnoski and is written by him and Vanessa Block, who attended Yale together. How nice. Sarnoski has previously worked as a writer and an editor, but doesn't have any major claim to fame and hasn't had a film credit since 2015, which was for a short-form documentary called The Testimony. The setup for Pig is that a battered and weathered Nicolas Cage has his truffle-hunting pig stolen from him, and he goes on a quest to get it back, though expectations that this will be anything like John Wick are going to disappoint you. I'm not sure why some people had these expectations going in. Pig is not an action movie in the slightest. It's a strange melodrama about grief and loss set against the backdrop of Portland, Oregon, where Nick Cage's Robin Feld character resides in self-exile. It's slowly paced, separated into 3 parts, and is centered around food and the restaurant industry, while also functioning as a window into the existence of a man struggling to cope with grief and failure. Pig is only 92 minutes long, which I think is all it needs to tell its story. There can be brilliance in simplicity. The cinematography is beautiful, with grand, wide, establishing shots and long takes in close-up that provide a sense of immersion. Pig is lighter on action and heavier on dialogue, though even when there is dialogue, it's minimal, measured, and focused. Pig is contemplative and philosophical, focused on 3 masculine archetypes who are working or have worked in the restaurant industry and refuse to process the grief that they are facing. The very basic setup of Pig, where the pig is the protagonist's primary source of survival, calls back to the classic Italian neo-realist film Bicycle Thieves, where a worker's bicycle is stolen, causing an existential crisis as his ability to survive is taken from him. Interestingly, Nicolas Cage steals someone else's bicycle in this movie in his search for his lost pig. Pig took 20 days to shoot in September of 2019 and was released in July of 2021, making $3.8 million at the box office because it's really not the kind of film that is gonna bring in the normies. It's a movie for people like me who enjoy weird art house drama. Pig has been a critic's darling since its release, and yes, I personally loved it, while I could see some viewers finding it boring. I don't think it's for absolutely everyone, but even if Pig seems too slow moving for you, stick with it. I think it has a few scenes that are quite memorable. The first act is mostly silent and meditative. The creators of the film even likened it to a haiku with its poetic minimalism, though there are some really effective dramatic scenes as you get into the second and third acts. Discussing specific scenes will bring us into spoiler territory, so I'll leave a timestamp if you want to jump past all of that to my final thoughts. The film begins and, to be honest, continues quite slowly until the end of part 1, when Nicolas Cage goes down a secret entrance in a restaurant into an underground fight club where restaurant workers beat the shit out of each other and gamble on it. The Rob Feld character just sits there and takes a savage beating in order to obtain information on the whereabouts of his pig. It's such a bizarre scene that you would think might not make it into the final version of the film because it's kind of out of place, but I thought it was hilarious and wonderful. In part 2, the server's feature at the restaurant sounds like she's reciting some kind of religious propaganda.
We all have a set of held beliefs about the world around us.
We actually hear this fade in before we even know what's happening. We're just looking at Nicolas Cage's bloody face. It's very dreamlike.
On a bed of foraged huckleberry foam, all bathed in the smoke from Douglas fir cones.
Then, after her lengthy description of the deconstructed scallops, Nick Cage eats one with his hand. I found this whole exchange so funny. What follows is a scene where the Rob Feld character eviscerates this pretentious chef. Rob Feld is all about staying true to himself rather than playing to the crowd and following trends. I love this monologue as Rob Feld breaks down this other chef for information by forcing him to confront the compromises he's made to his integrity in order to achieve success.
You live your life for them, and they don't even see you. You don't even see yourself.
Meanwhile, Rob Feld is perfectly okay living in the woods and is completely unconcerned with money and fame. This whole scene makes me think of the Simpsons Yoko Ono joke where she orders a single plum floating in perfume served in a man's hat.
I'd like a beer, Mo.
I'd like a single plum floating in perfume served in a man's hat.
Here you go.
As to the commentary about ludicrous high-end restaurants, there is a restaurant in Italy that serves a 42-course meal for $1,500 where one course might entail a shot of vinegar, a sliver of paper, quote-unquote rancid ricotta, or a mold of the chef's mouth of which you suck citrus foam from. Yum yum, very appetizing. In the first act of Pig, a couple of meth heads steal Nicolas Cage's truffle pig, which is apparently a real thing that happens because of the value of truffles in high-end restaurants. Rob usually sells the truffles to this younger character, Amir, who drives a gaudy yellow sports car and wears expensive clothing and jewelry. He's insecure and naive, living his life in the shadow of his father Darius, who is wealthy and influential in the restaurant industry. Amir sells the truffles on the side to build something separate from what his father has created. The relationship between Amir and his father is one of the most important aspects of the film, as it was his father who hired to have the pig stolen. The three lead characters are all men who have lost someone: a mother, a wife, and a companion. They refuse to confront their emotions and remain crippled inside because of it. Rob Feld has also lost his wife before losing his pig, and the film ends with him finally washing some of the blood off of his face as he listens to a recording of his wife singing the Bruce Springsteen song, "I'm on Fire," a song that is ultimately about impossible desire and emotional pain. The fact that he spends most of the movie covered in blood and no one comments on it is great. In the third part of the film, Robin Feld comes up with a plan to create a meal that will weaken Darius's defenses because it's the same meal Rob cooked for him and his wife when they were happy together, long before her attempted suicide.
I remember every meal I ever cooked.
Rob meets up with his former baker to obtain one of her baguettes and a bottle of wine. An emotional disconnect is conveyed with a wide shot and a long take. Taste and smell play so heavily into memory, and this is explored here with the final dinner scene and subsequent emotional breakdown. How many third act scenes involve the protagonist cooking a meal for the antagonist rather than fighting them in hand-to-hand combat? It's finally revealed that the pig has been dead the whole time. Rob Feld questions whether it would have been better to never know if the pig was dead or not. Is this Schrodinger's pig? No, Feld agrees the pig would have been dead either way. He just wouldn't have known it. Also, is this a movie about a man who's in love with a pig? Because it had to be addressed in the film, no, Nicolas Cage does not have carnal relations with his pig. It's a purely platonic pig passion.
I don't fuck my pig.
Pig is that rare film where the absurdity of its simple premise pays off. The visuals are calm and majestic. The acting will pull you in if you'll let it. Or you can close yourself off emotionally, like Nick Cage's Robin Feld. I don't have any major criticisms of this movie. It's among the best movies I've seen from 2021. Screw it, I'm giving Pig a 10 out of 10. The first 10 out of 10 score I've given, and it's a directorial debut. I haven't seen a single film from 2020 I would give a score of 10 to yet, but a lot of studios chose not to release films that year because of lockdown measures, and there are many blind spots on my list of films to see. There's actually a long list of films, TV shows, and games from 2020 and 2021 that I still haven't gotten around to, so I might be playing catch up for a while. But if you've made it to the end here, then thanks for improving my watch time analytics, and I hope you keep watching these videos, whether you agree or disagree with my opinions. I just enjoy taking part in pop culture discussion, and I'll leave you today with a little haiku that I wrote while meditating upon the movie Pig. Nick Cage loved a pig, without whom life was empty. Find truth in yourself.
We don't get a lot of things to really care about.